So we have this dilemma where we're trying to migrate a site that is currently on a subdomain, but we no longer want it on a subdomain. We want the URL to instead from being blog.wanderweb.com, as an example, to being wanderweb.com/blog. Okay, this is the process for how you do it in a cPanel type environment. So right now, obviously, it doesn't resolve because we don't have things set up. So we're going to go back to the page we were at before. Now, to also test this, there's some real easy ways to do this in cPanel, but one of the things you need to be concerned about is what happens if you have hard-coded links that are pointing to this URL. So we're going to test the process, and I'll show you how you take care of it. So we have this image that was added onto the home page, and then we also have this hard-coded link which takes you to the sample page. Now, if those don't automatically get updated, you of course have to then update the database to reflect the new URL, and I'm going to take you through that process right now. One of the things we need, of course, is access into your control panel. So in this case, we're using cPanel. Now, there are several things we're going to have to do here, and I'll walk you through each step of the way. So the first thing we need to do is tell WordPress, hey, we're going to be at a different URL. Okay. Now this is not, if you're moving from one domain name to another, this process is a little bit different. Just remember, this video is about moving from a subdomain to a subdirectory URL path. So we're into WordPress. As you can see, this is an older site I threw up just for the purpose of this demo. So things are not currently up to date, but it's the same process with the current version of WordPress. We're going to come down here under Settings, and we're going to go to General. And we're going to update the WordPress address URL and the site address. So we're going to move from the subdomain to a subdirectory. So now it's going to be wanderweb, which is the name of my development server, .com/blog, as opposed to blog.wanderweb.com. And we're going to save that change. Okay, and as you can see, it logged me out of the site. This is exactly what it should do at this point. Now, in cPanel, we have that subdomain, blog.wanderweb.com set up. We need to remove this. So we're telling the server in the control panel, this site is no longer at a subdomain. Look for it at the subdirectory. So we're going to go ahead and remove that. And we're going to delete that subdomain. Okay. So now if we go and we try to look at the front end of the site, it comes up. We have wanderweb.com/blog. Awesome. We'll see if we can sign into the control panel. Okay, at this point, we're into the control panel. Things are looking really good. Let's go to the front end and take a look at those hard-coded links. So remember, we had this image that was linked to the old URL. Okay, I'm going to refresh the page real quick. We'll see if it comes up. Okay, I click on it. Things still updated. If you notice, still looking at blog.wanderweb.com. We don't want it to be like that anymore. Okay, we want it to be wanderweb.com/blog/ the rest of this URL. Same thing with right here, the hard-coded link to the sample page. If I click on this, now we're getting an internal server error. How in the world do I finish this? This is where you have to do a find and replace in the database. Now you can do this at the database level. I find my SQL skills are not what I wish they were, but there's a much easier way to do that, and that is to export the database, do a find and replace in a text editor, import it into a new database, and then point the WP config file to point at that new database, basically telling WordPress use this second database as opposed to the first. Now, one of the reasons why we don't overwrite the new database or the old database is if there's any problems, we want to have that so we can export it and manipulate those database files. If you blow them away, they're gone. So we're going to go through that process. So I'm going to go into, this is how you do it in cPanel, by the way. We're going to go into cPanel, and we're going to go into phpMyAdmin. And as you can see, I got a lot of sites in my development server. We're going to find the blog database right here that I created for this test. And I'm going to go ahead and export it. I'm going to export everything. Okay, and we're going to export the file to my desktop. There's really nothing in this database, so this is going to go really quick. Okay. Now I'm going to use a text editor, and I prefer to use Notepad++ because it has the ability to find in files, okay? And we're going to show you how to do that in a second. So we're going to go to my desktop. As you can see, I got a bunch of different things running. Here's that file. Now, in order to use the find in files, we have to put this in its own folder. So I'm just going to quick create a new folder. I'm going to go new. DB find replace. We'll call it DB find and replace. We'll put the SQL file in there. Okay. Now I go to my text editor, and this is one of the reasons why I use Notepad++. I'm going to do a search and find in files. We're looking for the string blog.wanderweb.com, and we're going to replace it with wanderweb.com/blog. No trailing slash after this. We want this. We're replacing this string with this string. We're going to go to the directory we want to replace those strings in. So we're going to go to my desktop. And we're going to find that DB find replace folder, which we just dropped the SQL file into. We're going to hit OK. And we're going to do replace in files. 17 occurrences, so okay, inside of the database. All right, we're done with that part. Now we have to import that SQL file into the new database. So we go back into our control panel. Okay, I'm still in PHPMyAdmin. Now I need to create a brand new database. So I'm going to go to MySQL databases, and we're going to call it blog2. So the first database is just called WanderWeb w_blog. Okay, we've created the database. We now need to assign a user, so we're going to assign the same database user. DB user to the new database, blog2, hit add. We're going to give them full permissions. And now we're going to go back to PHPMyAdmin, and we're going to refresh it. And we're going to find our new database. It's going to be blank. Okay. Now we're going to import it. Now most web hosts do have a limit of 50 megabytes. If your database SQL file is bigger, you just need to contact your website host, and they will typically do that via the command line for you. So we're going to go back out to my desktop, into my DB find replace folder, and here's that SQL file that we updated. And we're going to go ahead and click open. And click go. This shouldn't take too long. It's a small database. All right, we're done. Now, the one last piece that we need to do is we need to point WordPress at the new database. So in this case, I'm going to go into the File Manager, in the root of public HTML. Okay, find where your install is, and we're currently in the /blog folder. And here's WP config. I'm going to open this up in the code editor. And here is the database name, database user, and the database password. Because we kept the same database user, we don't have to worry about replacing these. We just need to replace the database name with the new database name right here, blog2. We're going to go ahead and hit Save Changes. At that point, it's active. If you do have a caching plugin on the site, you may need to update it. We're going to go to the front of the site. Refresh it just to make sure. And now when we click on this image and we click on this link, they're both going to work. If you notice, look at the path up here, wanderweb.com/blog. Here's the image. And same thing with this link. This is going to work as well. And there's our sample page. And that's all there is to going from a subdirectory install to a subdomain install in WordPress. This is how you do it in a cPanel environment. If you're in a different environment such as AWS, there may be some other things to do. But the process itself is the same. Thank you for watching the video.